Hi, thanks for joining me. This is Angie at Chicken Scratch. This is the project we're making today. It's a cute little box. That's the lid. Okay, so let's go over the supplies real quick. I've got 2 kits here, so don't forget, head over to my website, leave a comment to enter to win the second kit. We've got Bermuda Bay cardstock that measures 6.5 by 5. Then we've got another piece that measures 3 9/16 by 3 9/16. We've got the Cherry on Top Designer Series paper, and we have 4 of those that measure 3 by 1 1/4. Then we've got Whisper White that measures 3 by 1 1/4, and we have 2 of those. And then Watermelon Wonder that is 3 1/4 by 1 1/2. The stamp set that we're using is Sweet Stack. The ink that we're using is Bermuda Bay and Watermelon Wonder. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is take the bottom of our box, and we're going to place it on the landscape side, and we're going to score it at 1 1/2, 3, 4 1/2, and 6. Then we're going to turn it on the landscape side, or the portrait side, I mean, and we're going to score it at 1 1/2. We're going to set the bottom of our box aside for just a second, and then we're going to take the top of our box, and we're going to score this at 1 inch on all 4 sides. Going back to the bottom of the box, we're just going to fold on the score lines. Okay, now what we're going to do is some cutting. I've got my template right here. Okay, so we're going to remove this 1/2 inch strip down here at the bottom, and then we're going to angle cut that little 1/2 inch strip. You don't have to do that. I just like doing that. It makes it a little bit easier. And let me turn this around so that I can have it in the direction that I'm actually doing it. So the rest of these we're just going to cut up to the score line. And then these 2 sections here, we're just going to give them a little trim. And again, it still assembles if you don't do this, but doing this does help in the assembly, but it's not necessary. Okay, so now let's take some strong adhesive, and we're going to put it here on this flap right there, and we're going to fold this over. Now this makes the front of our box right here. So these 2 flaps are going to fold in, that's going to fold over, and I'm going to put my adhesive here because that's the front of my box. So now that I've determined that this is the part that I want adhesive, I'm just going to place my fast fuse on there. See, just like that. Okay, now let's make the lid. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to fold on the score lines. Move that out of the way, and now I have the little lid template. Okay, now what I'm going to do is cut up to the score line on both sides, and then I'm going to get the Big Shot out. We're going to be using the what's this called? Cutie Pie Thinlits, and I'm going to be using this little scallop edge. If you have the retired scallop edge border punch, I think that's what it was called, scallop border, whatever it was called, you are more than welcome to use that. It has been retired, so I'm going to be using this piece. So I've got the Big Shot here, magnetic platform, a cutting pad. Now let's see. We're going to be doing this on, I'm going to do it on all 4 sides. Okay, so now we're just going to turn it and repeat that process. And we're just lining it up at the very edge of the cardstock. And if it acts like it doesn't want to stay in the same spot, just flip your cutting pad over. I need to replace my cutting pads they are getting to the end of their life cycle. I haven't replaced them very often. I wait till they almost completely crack. Okay. Okay, I have to say that having the punch is a whole lot easier than doing it that way. It works, but I prefer the punch. Okay, so now these four corners, all we're going to do is trim them just a tad. All I basically do is just cutting off the scallop. Okay, that's how it's going to look. It doesn't look very pretty, does it? It's going to work out okay, though. Okay, so then we're just going to put adhesive on those tabs. Whoops, I almost ripped that. Okay, so now we're just going to fold this in. Just like that. Same thing here. And the last one. And see, if you didn't trim those, then they would show through, okay? We got one little piece right there we need to trim. There we go. Okay, so now the lid goes on just like that. Isn't that cute? Okay, so this part right here wasn't trimmed exactly perfect. This is where we're going to place this piece. Okay, so if you have one side that looks less than desirable, that's where you're going to attach this. But let's go ahead and add our Designer Series paper strips to our box. I'm just going to go ahead and put adhesive on all of these. This is the Cherry on Top Designer Series paper stack, and we are getting the retirement list on April 18th. So typically our Designer Series paper retires every year. I don't know for sure that this is retiring, but my guess would be that it would be. So I loved this pack of paper. I should say I still love it. Okay, so now let's get this piece here. We're going to decorate it. So what we're going to do now is stamp our image first in Watermelon Wonder. And I think, if I remember correctly, I need my Stampin' Mat for this image. I could be wrong, but I think I'm right. And let's see, we're going to stamp it up here at the top. Now don't be concerned that that's part's missing, because we're going to be stamping it again in another color, and we're going to be cutting that part out. So we're going to set that aside, and then I'm going to clean this real quick. I'm just going to clean it with a baby wipe. I keep a container of those pretty much everywhere in my office, in each corner. Okay, so now we're going to stamp it in Bermuda Bay, and I'm just going to actually ink up where the Celebrate part is, and I'm just going to get some scrap paper here. Oh, and you know what? I was supposed to stamp it straight because we're going to be cutting it. Okay, there you go. You'll see what I mean in just a minute. Okay, so now let's take our scissors, and we're actually going to fussy cut this. So fussy cutting is just pretty much cutting it with our scissors. Let's see. Hopefully you can see this. And then now I'm going to take my banner punch and flag the end. Isn't that cute? And my Watermelon Wonder ink pad is brand new, so it has a lot of ink, but it'll be fine. So I'm going to take the banner punch now, and I'm going to see that little swirly? I want to come just below the swirly. Okay? And then we want to do the same thing for the Watermelon Wonder. We want to make sure that we don't go past where the white was. See? Now we're going to pop this one up. Okay. Whoops, come back here. Now we're going to take 3 of these Bermuda Bay sequins. Everything that I'm using right now, I keep wondering, is it going to retire? Okay, I'm going to get my liquid glue started, and then I'm just going to put a dab of glue in 3 spots, and then get my sequin. This stuff dries clear, so it's okay. If you can just get a hold of it. That's half the battle. Okay. I didn't do that very gracefully, did I? Now, to attach it to our lid, I'm just going to use glue dots. They're super sticky. They work well. And then again, I'm going to find that side that's less than desirable and attach this. And then this part, I'm going to also add with the edge of a dimensional. I almost missed it. Okay, don't forget that there's a free PDF over on my website that has the picture and the instructions on how to make this. Okay, so here they both are. Aren't they cute? Have a great day. Thanks a lot.